All right, guys, welcome to part two of this series on software technology. And I hope that you learned something from the first series. And without wasting any time, we are going to resume here on part two, creating your own website or your own web app or business online with AI generated software. So, software programmers, okay? The first thing to understand is that in today's newly introduced age of AI technology, society is cut wide open in terms of both delving into and becoming a software programmer, right? A software technician, a software engineer, an AI tech consultant. No time in history has introduced a day like today, in which not only can society pursue this invaluable asset to be owners of, but at an expedited rate that is directly connected to you and me as innovators and creators and our investment into it. Okay, so meaning what you put in is what you're going to get out. It's very productive, but you got to put in the work. And the work is not complicated and it's not super technological. Okay, in the previous age of technology, spanning from the 70s and into the 80s, 90s, early 2000s, and as recent as this decade that we are currently in, people who were interested in these sophisticated fields involving technology, whether as a career or as innovators or as elaborators, they had to either be the actual innovator, right, who was going through a plethora of logistics, data, trademarking rights, getting patent rights. They had to present to trade shows, convincing investors, which you have to do a part of all that, but overall, like they would need to go to college for a number of years, let alone find and or deal with the hit of associated funding related to that field within technology. Okay, in today's age, all of the tools, the machinery, the education, the affordability, and everything associated with needing all of the infrastructure to either start, join in on, participate, or even just for the sake of wanting to know more about, it's all within your hands, my hands, okay? In one setting, at your disposal. All that is needed is your urge to learn. Follow instructions, basic instructions, and involve a high level of grit, as I stated in the first video. Okay, that's all that you need in order to succeed within this pursuit. Whether it's starting your online business, getting into software technology online, using ChatGPT to further enhance some of what you're doing, it doesn't matter. You just have to have grit. Okay. So in the agricultural age, during the 17 to 1800s, you had to own land and livestock in order to cultivate crops and use those resources for your family's survival, your farm and its survival, your crops and their survival within the seasons. And then also to trade and barter and eventually use within the idea of business and economics. As society transitioned into the industrial age, which spanned from the 1800s well into the 1940s and 50s, we then seen how families and business owners now needed to gain ownership of new systems like machinery and automotives and factories, in order to not only do business, but also to make business more convenient, more scalable, right? Do it at a more exponential pace for the production involving sales to the masses. The drivers of these periods were the business owners who not only inherited their lands and wealth involved within that, but those who now own the train stations and trains and train transportation systems, right? These are the people that benefited from that industrial time period. And then in more recent decades, beginning in the 60s, 70s, and then more elaborate into the 80s, we then had a renaissance of evolution within this business trade, right? Which launched so we just talked about the agricultural age. Well, this next period we understand as the information age, where the beginning of new and advanced technologies and systems started to drive the national and global markets. And those were dominated by the wealthy, right? The wealthy people, the wealthy businessmen, which were those who owned, those involved those who owned the factories. Okay, we now had factories. The telephone and television companies, the mainstream food, clothing, equipment, entertainment chains like the Walmarts and JCPenney's, and movie and music production agencies and such. The drivers of this period were those who harnessed and shared and made exhaustive measures of that information. Educational institutions now became fully enveloped into creating platforms for individuals who could not only get educated within these new systems of business and markets within society, but people could now use the information gathered to then own and dictate their own economies within the economy by use of their specific business niche. So you no longer needed the traditional or conventional ways of inheriting wealth, right? But you could now build your own path toward wealth and business and opportunity with networking that had not been easily accessible for that particular sector of business and opportunity. So that is pretty much what, in a nutshell, what took place in the information age. And then finally, from the 1980s into 2020-ish, we all know where the buck stopped and what took place within the age of technology, right? We were introduced to, influenced by, and made use of everything technological, including what? Computers, faxing, scanning, copying, then the transfusion within all of those technologies as we now are connected globally through computer dial-up, right? Then mobile phones, then dial-up transitioned into Wi-Fi capability systems, of which then our mobile phones now had those capabilities. And the rest, as we say, or as they say, is history. The drivers of this technological age, again, needed not an inheritance alone, but involved a plethora of opportunity that launched entrepreneurs and their businesses to new heights. And millionaires were strangely no longer not a new norm for millions of people. Okay? It was not like surprising anymore. And that's what we see today, which leads us to where we are now. And that's where we will be into the next several decades, with projections that this AI age will progress into well into 2050. So that's the age that we're in now, the AI age after the technological age. And so yeah, here we are. For the first time in history, striving businessmen and women have literally everything within the palms of their hands. Your dream in your hand, your vision in your hand, your agriculture age, your industrial age, your information age, your technology age, your land, your crops, your seeds and ability to plant, your shovel, your sharecropping, your livestock, your machinery, factory, and ability to manufacture your own goods and products within that factory, your supply chain, your educational institution, your ability to network. Everything is within, like literally within your hands for the first time in history. because of the day and age that we live in today, it is easy to take things for granted without fully grasping that things haven't always been this way, right? Like, it is not a new normal to succeed in the way that businessmen are succeeding today. And a large proportion of that scale is through the use and skill and harnessing of what? AI technology. This is the very essence of why we are hearing and seeing the reality of how AI technology is not only rapidly changing the world, but it is the fastest growing business sector. Like, it's not just a thing on the news. It's reality. Okay? In the multi-billions, AI single-handedly launched into becoming the #1 industry that not only is being invested into, but the tech giants, the angel investors, general investors, and as we've seen recently, even our own United States government is placing an emphasis. All of these giants are placing an emphasis on this truth, capped with the constant reminder and fair warning that you and me as innovators and we as a nation should put ourselves in the position of not only leading the world in AI, but more importantly, not find ourselves left behind and left behind when it's too late. So, in terms of all of this AI related information, you, like millions, may find yourself in the legitimate and honest and curious position and asking the trending questions like, what is all of this AI about? Like AI, right? Is AI really going to take over jobs? Is it going to take over my job? If so, how? Right? We have that what I call the 4 AI quadrants that are taking place as it relates to the world of AI today. So one of those quadrants, those who are already in, meaning they might own the software company, they might own the chatbot systems, they might be investing into AI, they might be progressing within their line of business and life through the advantages that AI offers, right? Another aspect to that quadrant is those who are making the world aware. Another one is those who are neutral, whether by default or by choice. And finally, those who, aside from all other justified reasoning, are simply in the boat of being in the state of being left behind in terms of AI. Okay? And that's where I decided that I could be, or maybe I could be of some use to helping bridge that gap. If you look at my website at Alaskapp, that's ALASKAPP.com, you will see that it's a pretty intricate, well-detailed, well-put-together website, which there's a lot of fascinating website builder programs, but the one, as I stated in one of my other videos, is I used from Replit. And I use Replit because not only is it affordable, but it's pretty self-explanatory, it's well-versed, and when you listen to the owner, Amjad Masad, he has quite the testimony. And basically, he is trying to create 1 billion software engineers that, there's just a whole bunch of different goals that they have within the company to make creators invested into what they are invested into. And I just think it's very neat. He has an awesome testimony of coming from another country and coming here to America and hitting it big. And so, yeah, that's a platform that I choose, and I encourage you to check it out, Replit. And yeah, so all of the stuff that you see, I mean, these guys helped me to start a website, and it's got a form of, it's got its own AI agent within that platform. And that AI agent, you just saw prompt, you prompt whatever it is that you want to do, whatever your idea is, whether you want to start an online business, whether you want to start a statistics-based platform, whatever it is that you have an idea, whether you want to do a website or you want to create an app, all of that is provided by AI assistance. But even though AI is very technologically advanced, this is where the skimmy comes into where, like, is AI going to take my job? No? Okay, so this is where it gets more specific for, like, in Alaska, where I do most of my business, right? Where I want to create a target market and help tribal organizations and some of our local, regional area locations that help the broader scope of who we are as a people, right? And so, like, what I'm going to be able to do within Alaska and also within reservations in the lower 48 is try to just simply inform my fellow people, right? Inform them, inform us, because in the end, that's what it's all about. It's about us, right? So we can all understand that, yeah, we go to school for certain things, right? But we can all agree, and I'm just giving you guys an example here, and this is a reality. So we could all agree that regardless or despite going to school, there's just so many roadblocks. It's been that way for whatever reason. Not everything and not everybody, obviously, but there are so many stringent roadblocks, and a lot of it is centered on the fact that we may not be presenting all of the logistic information within applications for grants, right? Certain grants that we want to use for suicide prevention or for, doing stuff for at-risk youth or doing things for recreational purposes in the communities. In rural Alaska, we have so many rural communities. And a lot of our communities are at a disadvantage before the application even presents itself. And so I think that AI can help in that regard, is that it's not necessarily going to come in and take tribal organization jobs, because what we do have within the, I guess what you could say, what we have in favor on our side is that we obviously, one of the underlying themes is that our tribal organizations and our regional organizations, our corporations, do a good job of making it the aim, if not the centerpiece of the company or the organizations, to have native preference with hire and things like that, right? And so that takes care of that element. Well, again, you still need to meet all of the stringent obligations within the application periods, right? And some of these, we're not even talking about the application period exhausting itself within a span of, like, sometimes it could be a month, sometimes it could be a sudden notice, sometimes it can be 6 months, sometimes it can be a year, right? So within the confines of all of that is that even though we may have a general understanding of what to do, and we may fill in all the gaps and edit the details and then submit the application, AI will allow us to expand and elaborate on all different kinds of facets relating to data, necessary data, real data, that is going to be intricately tied to that application, and further networking to get more funding for our communities. And so that's where I think that AI software within this particular subject will help our communities. And so, as I said, if I could help to be a bridge, to bridge the gap within those different areas, and I'm gifted to at least have some minimal basics to presenting that information, then I want to be a part of it. God has given me a gift to write, to memorize, to utilize technology, and I want to use it for the good, for that purpose. And so, yeah, I hope all of that made sense, and I hope that you continue with me to part number 3, and we will continue to look more into this thing with AI software technology and how it may benefit you. As I said, not only in the previous video and on other videos and on my website, I cannot stress and emphasize enough, like even though my company is online based here in Alaska and we have a network office in New York and in Anchorage, don't get that misunderstood. Like my services and our services, and when I say our, my staff, that is completely AI generated, like it is just amazing, the opportunity and the scale that we have within these platforms, right? So yeah, like I said, don't get that misunderstood. These services are available to anyone and everyone. And all you have to do is either you subscribe to whatever it is that you're interested within the confines of our services, or if you want me to come to your community or to your city, to your organization, or if you want to do things through Zoom or web conferencing, well, there's just so many different options that this can be done. And all you have to do is be a Visionaire member, and that's free. And so, yeah, just go onto our website, as I said, and fill out the necessary information. If you have any problems with getting that information, or you would just rather do it in a simple way, then you can email us and we will gladly help you to get that process finalized and move forward to get the desired outcome that you want, or maybe even just to help you on your path, because that's what it's all about. One of the great things that, and I'll end with this, is that these resources and these opportunities that are here today are not only exciting, but there is a host of opportunity for everybody, right? So what good is it to, like, right? What are you doing? I'm holding my breath. Why? Because I want everybody else to have. There's enough breath for everybody in the world. Knowledge, resources, technology, open doors and opportunity for technology. Like, it's for all of us, and there's so much, and all of us have to strive to help each other win. And I hope in some kind of capacity, whether small or on some kind of larger scale, I can help you to win in whatever you're doing. Thanks for watching today's episode on part 2 of a 5-part series to AI software technology. We'll see you again in another video, guys. Have a good evening.